the decisions of Russian government and the Russian president are unpredictable. So we feel some unrest, I would say, and some need of prayers and prayerful support to go through this period that we face now.
I know many people are praying for you, brothers and sisters in Ukraine right now, Roman. How is the church in Ukraine currently preparing for a possible Russian invasion?
Well, for the church in Ukraine, as you know, the last 8 years have been quite a difficult and challenging period. Yeah. Maybe you remember in winter of 2014-17, the Revolution of Dignity took place in Ukraine. And for many evangelical churches, this was a kind of special time when they discovered their true identity. Well, broadly speaking, before Maidan, many Protestants were still, I would say, in a post-Soviet system of values. They were isolated from country social problems. So many churches were not interested in spreading gospel or doing any social work. But after Revolution of Dignity and following war at the east of Ukraine, many Protestant communities discovered the new image of the church as, I would say, a missional church, a church that recognizes God's presence in the world and brings hope to the people. So since that time, many evangelical churches have been actively responding to society's challenges. Well, I can say that our volunteers are working in the front line, helping to rebuild private buildings, schools, orphanages. They initiate different social projects. So since 2015, more than 1 million people have left Donbas and became displaced persons, and local churches often help such people to settle in new places. So I'm trying to say that current threat of an even greater war will not take the evangelical churches by surprise. We already have some experience in responding to the social and humanitarian needs of our people.
And obviously the tension there, as you stated, we understand that there is a state-sanctioned church, and then there are Protestant churches not recognized by the state or the government. The European Evangelical Alliance has said that the church in Donbas region in eastern Ukraine suffers the most in Europe. Explain this, why?
Well, back in summer 2014, Russian-backed forces or separatists or militants took control of the territory, which is now officially called certain areas of Donetsk and Luhansk regions. And from the very beginning of this Russian occupation of those regions, persecutions of evangelical churches began. This was due to the Russian world ideology. It's a specific kind of ideology which guided various Russian-backed militants that started a war in the East. And the idea of Russian world calls for the preservation of common values of the Russian language, spirituality, the way of life. And for those people, all churches except the Russian Orthodox Church are unconnected with a traditional faith. They violate the unity of Russian civilization and should be banned. Well, for instance, the self-proclaimed Luhansk People Republic has refused to register all communities of Baptists, Pentecostals, and all other Protestant churches. And believers could face fines or arrest merely for prayer gathering in private homes. So many such groups were declined of registration, or they declined to apply for registration. And the result is that many communities are now on those territories outside of the war. For instance, 48 Baptist congregations, they decided just to cease their activity because they couldn't obtain the registration. For many years, I work in theological education, and for me personally, that was a tragedy that the great institution, Donetsk Christian University, was seized, and now it's just a military base, and the wonderful library and facilities were just destroyed and can't be used anymore for theological education.
Roman, what could this mean also for Christian-run schools? Crossroads, our parent company, partners with a Christian-run orphanage in Ukraine as well.
Well, today there is a complete freedom of religion for all churches and for all ministries in the entire territory under the government of Ukraine. Evangelical churches can hold their meetings, develop social and charitable projects, carry out missionary work. There are dozens of Christian secondary school orphanages, theological schools in Ukraine. Evangelical pastors serve as military and medical chaplains. Well, of course, suppose Russia occupies any part of Ukraine or imposes its political agenda on Ukraine, it will affect all aspects of the lives of churches and ordinary believers. However, we cannot predict how events will unfold. As Christians, we are trying to prevent the worst case scenario, praying for God's protection, wisdom for our government, and for reducing of the escalation on our country borders.
This is a real live threat for Christians in that region right now. Thank you so much, Roman, for your time today, and we will be praying for you and our sisters and brothers in Ukraine.
Thank you.